Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Conspiracy Farm, where we don't start the conspiracies, we just add the water. And now, your host of the most state-of-the-art, most informed podcast on the interweb, I present to you Pat Miletich and Jeffrey Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for war?
And here we go. Once upon a time, not long ago. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, back again. UFC Hall of Famer Pat Miletich. It's Jeffrey Wilson, locked and loaded with another episode of the Conspiracy Farm. And today, we're taking it a little bit comedic, but we're still keeping our tinfoil hat on, ladies and gentlemen, as he is a stand-up comedian, and he hosts, and I think even co-hosts, his own podcast called the Tinfoil Hat Podcast, among other things, and we're going to get all the way into it. Mr. Sam Triploi is joining us today. What is up, playa?
Gentlemen, how are you? Thanks for having me on. I'm really excited. What a wonderful time to be a conspiracy theorist, huh?
Absolutely. These things are everywhere, right?
I go to the Comedy Store and people, I think to some of my comedian friends that conspiracy theorist is the male version of cat lady, but we tend to be more right than we are wrong, and that's what I love.
Precisely.
Nobody keeps score except for us.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. I've been chewing on this stuff for a long time, and these terms we all throw around, conspiracy theorists, deep state, mockingbird, fake news. Man, I've been talking about this stuff for like 25, 30 years, and these Johnny-come-latelys, that's cool. They can talk their smack, but what have you been up to, man? I know recently you were in Las Vegas with Eddie Bravo, Mr. Flat Earth Central. I still love Eddie, though. What was, how'd it go, man? How'd it go out there in Las Vegas?
You know what, man? We did a late show in Vegas, which tends to be a harder time to draw, but we did excellent. They were very happy with it. Now we have some serious players interested in doing a tour of conspiracy theorists or comedians, your favorite conspiracy theorists doing comedy.
Nice.
And so, yeah, man, it was great. Eddie's great. You know, he just loves it. He is the face of that whole thing, but, you know, it is what it is, dude. And
running 10th planet with a circular globe on your shirt, but yet I'm a flat earther.
Yeah, it's very interesting because he doesn't believe in space yet. He talks about 10th planet. But that's fine, dude. You know, listen, man, there's a lot of people into flat earth that are pretty smart people that have achieved amazing stuff in their life. So, like, I go, well, something has to be going on. Not that I'm necessarily a flat earth guy at all, but makes me go, okay, these guys who are really brilliant, all these other things tell me something doesn't make sense. I'm willing to hear what they have to say.
I mean, absolutely, and we always should. But I mean, there are a lot of brilliant people that, you know, voted for Hillary, or, you know what I mean? It's like there are people aren't necessarily stupid. It's just kind of maybe
and let's be honest. None of these people were on an SR-71 that flew around the globe.
Right, I get that, dude. I listen. You're preaching to the choir. I don't claim all conspiracies, but I also like let Eddie have Eddie, and you know, it's just like something. I'm not saying anything other than something must be up, that these guys 100% believe something's up. That's all I'm saying.
Do you know what part of that is? And I'm not thinking, and I'm of course not speaking for your boy Eddie Bravo, but I hear him speak on it sometimes, and he articulates a very cogent point. NASA's lied to you about this. NASA's lied to you about that. They faked this part of the moon landing. They faked these different pictures. So why would they not be faking all of it? And that dude, as a conspiracy theorist and who's like, you know, very skeptical about every freaking thing, I feel it, man, because once you ruin my trust, once you ruin the trust between us once, it's that kind of first time, you know, shame on you, second time, shame on me. But I get it. But at the end of the day, you know, I mean, we start getting into whatever. We don't have to get into the merits of it. But I mean, it's pretty.
Well, Eddie was preaching on chemtrails for a long time, and you know, Brennan coming out and admitting to it. You know, it's you know, we knew it was true. To the extent we weren't sure, but you know.
Well, that's one that Joe fucks with, and he
just admitted it.
Another one, Joe kind of like stays. He's like, "Hey, man, they're just condensation trails." Like, whoa, dude, there are condensation trails and there are chemtrails. To like make this a mutually exclusive argument to say, you know, it's one and not the other. One, you know, it can be both.
No, I get that. My whole thing is that you know, after this SpaceX thing goes up, this like militarized flu comes out. Like my friend who's like, I'm working on her some project. She goes, "Hey, did you notice that everybody got sick as soon as that SpaceX shit went up?" And I'm like, "Holy shit, you're right." And it wasn't just like a regular flu. It was like one where you get it, you beat it, get up, and then boom, and just knock it right down like 3 times in a row. And I'm like, okay, if we believe in chemtrails, which I think everybody on the show does, why wouldn't they do something with that shit? I mean, everybody's watching it. And another thing, they didn't announce that. They announced every other launch. Even they announced when we're going to launch, we're not going to launch. But they didn't announce that launch, and everyone's like, what the fuck is that in the sky?
Yeah, they were doing, I mean, documents have been released over the years proving that the United States military and government was experimenting with chemical weapons and all kinds of other stuff on, entire ghettos.
That's here in St. Louis, dude. That's the proof. I go here in St. Louis.
Right.
Well, today we did a podcast. What my podcast is somewhat becoming is me getting some of my comedian friends and trying to just plant seeds of doubt in their head and get them to kind of see some stuff. You'd be amazed how many people kind of pull you aside and be like, hey, dude, I'm into this too. Like, it's like this weird kind of like whisper. And I'm like, okay, I'll be the face of it in Hollywood. But I had Bert Kreischer on today, and we were talking underground military bases. And I'm just like, oh, man, it is so much bigger than I ever realized.
Does Bert's hip to it?
Bert was hip to it. And it's like, oh, why are we $24 billion in a hole again? Oh, because it's so much more than we ever even understand. Like, we're just thinking about wars here and like all these wars we're in. We're not thinking about them basically hollowing out like America and putting in giant like subway systems for the elites to get around if shit hits the fan.
Well, you got that Mount Weather facility.
Bert Kreischer, I almost had a chance to go see his show here in the Quad Cities, and I had to be out of town. I was bummed because I wanted to meet him in person. But it's obvious that Bert, given the machine part of his show, it's obvious he's a Russian agent.
Yeah, pretty much, dude.
He colluded with
Putin
Trump.
Puppet, dude. Another Putin puppet.
Right.
Well, I just want to say that, it's like there are so many people coming to us. There's more people every day come to us than more people leaving us, which is a really good sign. Like, I don't know if you guys know Lee Camp or Jimmy Dore, but man, they are really starting to like swim in the pool of conspiracies but they're doing it as facts. Whereas like we get called crazy, they deliver it as facts, and they kind of tip into it. We had Jimmy on our live thing. We kind of dropped the all the little things on pedogate and all that stuff to him. And I just saw his eyes start to lighten up, and he's slowly coming and he delivers it he delivers it in a way that people can digest it as true.
Well, and there's definitely
simplified.
When it's definitely needs to be simplified because it is so complicated. And the more people who of authority come with this stuff, it makes it way more like, oh well, it's almost like back in the day of being a professional wrestling fan. Like no one wanted to admit it until it became cool. And if there's some phrase about being a patriot, you know what I mean? When right now it's scary to be this quote unquote excuse me, patriot and come with the truth. Because, I was even checking you out, man, Sam, some of your stuff when the shooting happened, and you were just bouncing. You were just like, hey, man, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense about the shooting. And people were giving you grief. Like, there is a lot of bounce back to this, man, and not everybody necessarily agrees with it. But the reason, like you're saying, people are coming to us because you just cannot fuck with the quote unquote truth. We've had on individuals, former Navy SEALs who just break down the pedogate thing, former Russian Spetsnaz who've talked about, body harvesting and organ harvesting and human trafficking for decades now. We have people who come with authoritative sources who just merely back up what we're already talking about. So it's
right.
like I love what you guys are doing, and because I don't have Pat's number, so I sent it to you, Jeffrey. But last time we talked, you told me something that really blew my mind, Pat, and that was that you believe that, Mueller is, and I don't know if you still believe this, but you believe that Mueller is on Trump's, actually on his side.
Right.
Is that something still you're into?
Yeah, because, well, think about it. Even the Wikipedia page on Mueller states it as fact that Mueller met with Trump and to be interviewed for the job of head of FBI, which he cannot hold that job again. He already served the longest anybody can in that position. So that was not what the meeting was about. The very next day, he is selected as the special investigator on Russian collusion. So, Trump came out right after the meeting that day and was very quick to say, I think we're going to go a different direction with head of the FBI. The media, how would the media not report the fact and know the fact. And if they knew the fact, why wouldn't they report it and say, this meeting wasn't about him taking a job as the head of the FBI, because he can't do it, right? It's not going to happen. And then the very next day, Rosenstein puts him in as special investigator on Russian collusion. Look, there's no way that he was brought on to investigate Trump. He was brought on to investigate Russian collusion by the other folks.
So what's very interesting about that, and I sent Jeffrey this, was this: there's this guy on Reddit. He's got his own subreddit. His name is Serial Brain 2, and he was breaking down, basically through numerology. He had broke down that basically what you're saying, that Mueller is on Trump's side. If you break down all the numbers and how it all works out, that he's actually on his side. I sent it to Jeffrey. I don't know if he had a chance to pass it on, but I found that really interesting. This guy, Serial Brain 2, breaks down everything into like the 17s and 14s and the whole thing with the school shootings and 17 people die. It's like really interesting.
Numerology is a trip, man. I had a guy do a numerology, an entire packet on me, and then deliver the packet to me verbally. He and I talked. We sat at a table and ate breakfast, and he went through the whole packet with me and broke me down literally to a T, everything about me, and told me how I was going to improve my life, how exactly it was going to get done if it was going to happen. And this guy's done it on over 14,000 people. He's done this on, and he looked at me and he goes, out of 14,000 people, I've had 7 aces of spades. He goes, and I go, what's an ace of spades? He goes, you're a wizard. He goes, you're supposed to be teaching people. He goes, you're an educator, and you have a lot of power when it comes to that. And he goes, but you're only 7 out of 14,000 people, 7 wizards that I've ever done.
Well, man, I believe it, dude. I've seen you work your magic, and I think we have to go out there. I think, it's like in comedy, I sacrifice a lot. Maybe not the way you did it, kind of in the UFC, and
being on the road doing that has got to be brutal.
But also just like trailblazer. The thing is really funny about life is like you don't necessarily want to be the trailblazer. You'd like to be the second or third guy because they're the ones that make all the cash, right? But there is this thing about leading the way, leading by example, and all that stuff. You did it with in MMA, and I kind of do it now in LA because it's like there's such like conformists out here now, and I kind of go up, and some of them don't appreciate it, but I think in the long run, as they get a little older, they will like the chances and the honesty we do on stage, and that's the sacrifice we do. We have to yell truth when nobody wants to hear it, and that's unfortunate.
That's the thing. I can't remember who it was that was saying it. He's a former SF Special Forces guy. Said, look, the truth is the truth, even when nobody believes it, and the lies are lies even when everyone believes the lies. No matter what, that doesn't change what is a lie and what is truth.
How about the fact that we constantly see the FBI, CIA, even NASA say, we know our job is complete when everything they believe is a lie. Yeah, and that they get, and you see it happening right now. What's her name? Minka on Morning Joe. Her father,
Mika Brzezinski.
Her father was like a war criminal who just brought war everywhere. And
Zbigniew Brzezinski. He wrote.
He was a bad.
Yeah, he wrote The Grand Chessboard amongst other books. He was NSA advisor for, I believe, Ford or Carter, I forget. But yeah, he was one of the originals that helped fund the Mujahideen against the Soviets.
100%, dude.
Here's the thing, that when people say that what we talk about is fake news and all this other garbage, look, man, when Justin Trudeau puts out a warning to the head of Facebook or Twitter and says, you either do something about this fake news or I'm going to shut you down in my country. And then we already have Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube censoring people who are speaking their minds, people who are speaking the truth, people who are going against the mainstream media's narrative. This is scary stuff, dude. This is 1984.
I can't agree.
What do you think
more,
about that,
dude.
brother? Sam, that's true talk, man. Those YouTube channels, man, I've seen it. They're getting shut down and getting censored. What do you think, man?
I think what you're going to find out, and hopefully that these people are able to bring their crowds to another forum. But yeah, if you look at Facebook right now, Facebook is dying. I mean, I didn't think it would happen because they were doing so much stuff. But when the truth came out, we're looking at the, MySpace too right now with Facebook. Like, everybody's finding out about all the privacy issues. They're listening to you.
Well, you got a lawsuit against Twitter. I saw somewhere there was like somebody brought a lawsuit against Twitter for censoring.
Huge lawsuit.
Yeah.
Oh, and it only goes one way. That's the real problem. It only goes towards the conspiracy theorists or the
for
right.
sure.
And the truth is, like, if this would have been happening after 9/11, we were going, like, they would say we were lefties the way we went after Bush and Cheney for
exactly.
all the stuff and the weapons of mass destruction and all that stuff. So it's just like right now, it looks like it's the right, but it's really just the truth. And you're finding that, like, I'm watching my liberal friends out here make verbal, violent threats on Twitter to people, and nothing happens to them. But my friend Ari makes one joke towards Bert Kreischer, and they ban him for life. And it's just like, that's where the problem comes. And here's the thing, man. I didn't even watch the Oscars, even though my good friend Tiffany Haddish was on there. And I've watched this girl go from like just a street kid to like this amazing person. And that in itself is amazing. But, Hollywood is running a horrible business right now. The demonization of white males in this country is the worst business model I've ever seen in my life. The thought of just alienating the second biggest demographic and the one with the most money is the worst business model ever, which makes me think it's all just meant to be propaganda. And that's just my honest opinion on everything. It's just like they want us to fight with each other so much. Because if we all come together and wake the fuck up, now they got problems. But the demonization and the fucking conformity, these kids can't conform quick enough. I watch these young comedians. They think it's about conforming. And it's like, no, dude, it's about raging against the machine, fighting back. Where is the anti-war fucking left right now? Where is it?
It's crazy. I mean, when you look at the greats, man, your Carlins. Go ahead, Pat. I'm sorry.
Well, think about this. You want me to watch these lunatics out there to expect me, a guy in Iowa who actually is pretty much awake, to watch the Oscars and watch them give out an award for a movie that celebrates a relationship between a grown man and a teenage boy.
Yeah.
Look, that's not about homosexuality. That's about pedophilia. You're a scumbag.
No, I can't agree more, dude. I can't agree more. And they're trying to make it look artistic, and it's not. And everybody's onto it, but these people in the audience, they're so afraid to lose their fucking dollars and their checks that they co-sign on this, hoping not to rock the boat. And it's like, you know what, dude? I'd rather make the money I'm making right now being honest and true to what I believe in than selling out and just, eventually being spit out and used. And I just think it's like, and it's all, dude, and the problem is that what we're doing is blood in the water. We're blood in the water. You can't stop. It's everywhere, dude. Yeah, once it gets to the water, it's everywhere. You can't grab it. You can't pull it out. And it's only going to get more and more people are coming to our side than their side.
Yeah, and I was talking about this earlier in terms of, there's Armageddon and then there's the apocalypse. The apocalypse comes from the root word, and Jeff's heard me say this numerous times. He's probably sick of me. But most people don't understand where the word apocalypse comes from. It comes from the Greek root word apocalypsis, which means the uncovering, which means light upon darkness, light shed on all the secrets and the dark shit doing. So in my mind, dude, I feel that we are witnessing the apocalypse.
I can't agree more.
Well, we just had our previous guest on, Oxford, not professor, but PhD, said we're already in a shooting war. I mean, this is not a dumb man. He said we are already, when we start talking about CV2 and that Civil War II, is that Ed over there?
Oh, it's my dog. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
That's all right.
Sorry about that.
No, it's quite all right.
Dogs talk.
But I mean, I've said this, man. I think, Sam, you've mentioned it, and then Pat, we've talked about it. We're at a serious, very visceral, at each other's throat, divide and conquer is absolutely everywhere, even in the alternative media. We're seeing even in the alternative media starting to turn on each other, and that's just we have men against women, white against black, Christian against. I mean, it's full on right now.
Well, the truth seekers are always the ones who fight for change, in my opinion. And the biggest problem I have with political correctness and what's going on with the Oscars, or even this debate I recently did a friend's political live show, and it was meant to be politically incorrect political talk. And this Canadian lesbian was on there, and she was just railing on guys, man, just like, stop having sex in the office. Stop. I'm like, that goes both ways, you know? And it's like, you know, this notion that, you know, men want to live in a rape culture. It's like, I've never heard any man go, hey, dude, what are you doing this weekend? Raping, dog. Hell yeah, we high five each other. That's not what we live. But yeah, I hear, you know, I used to do a show called The Naughty Show, and women would always tell me, what's your fantasy? It was always a rape fantasy, you know? So it's like, we're not monsters. We have monsters. And
of course.
White men are always the one that you can make generalities about. And the biggest problem, and I'll wrap up real quick, is that the biggest problem I have with everybody chirping and political correctness is, like, we don't know the real story. Like this Canadian lesbian chick, you know, she's trying to act like she's in bondage, and she has to break bondage and take the Underground Railroad to whatever job she's writing in the fucking valley. And it's like, we don't know your story. You might come from very rich parents and had a great life, and you're just hijacking this discrimination and really wanting credit for oppression you've never went through.
People love the juice, dude. Professional victims. They're all over Facebook. They love it.
So many of these groups, honestly, in my mind, the people who were truly oppressed in this country obviously were American black people. No doubt.
Indians.
Yeah.
It was brutal. It was bullshit. It should have never happened.
Systematic racism.
It's part of our history. But all of these groups are hijacking the suffering and the brutal trail that black people have had to follow.
Or name it. The women, black people, gay people. I mean, you know, it's one thing to be discussing human rights. Fuck what your proclivity is. Human rights is what we're talking about. But like you said, Pat, there is such a weaponization of this right now. And it's straight out of some COINTELPRO FBI shit. Even if it's not the FBI, the divide and conquer is so everywhere.
Now imagine all of these youth that are going out and getting violent and wrecking stuff and marching against guns and all this stuff, but then get violent. Look, these are the kids that are going to be voting away my Second Amendment rights as an older man, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, look, I have to deprogram my kids every time they come home from middle school and high school because of the friggin' leftist teachers.
100%, dude.
Well, what are your thoughts on what Trump said about taking the guns? I'd rather take the guns first, due process second. Like, that's fucking huge, bro. Granted, he qualified it with, you know, mentally ill people, but that's a slippery slope. Mentally ill people, domestic violence, social net. The fucking deputy in Florida. Hey, we need to be able to snatch you up involuntarily because of social networking posts. Granted, that, you know, that was a red flag for this dude in Florida, but going and snatching people up and you know, committing them involuntarily because of a social networking post.
Never had to be on any kind of medication for PTSD.
Exactly.
You know, vets get their weapons taken from them. That's where it starts, dude.
That's where it's going too.
The fact that in Washington, if you get a medical marijuana card, you're not allowed to own a gun. Well, does that make any fucking sense at all?
That's
dude, let's take a look at what's going on right now with this. Most of these celebrities, I mean, the highest level celebrities calling for guns, most of them walk around with fucking bodyguards, okay? If they believe so much in the world of peace and trust, let's do that. Let's take a look at the government that's telling you right now that you shouldn't have fucking guns. This is the same gun that is complicit, the same government that is complicit in fucking the humanitarian crisis, one of the greatest humanitarian crises in the world in Yemen right now. We're either bombing them or selling the bombs to somebody. So if they'll do that to you, why don't you think it will go over here? I was just at the Oscars, bro. I wanted to film, man. If you would have seen the police state that was outside of the Oscars, you would have been blown away. It looked like something out of fucking some futuristic police state movie, dude.
And what are they all walking around with? ARs. AR here, AR here.
Cops everywhere. And these are the people preaching love and trust and all that shit. It's total fucking lip service. It's conformity, dude. It's conformity. And show me one thing that's been banned that it ended up working better. Like drugs, sex, anything. What did they take away?
Well, one of our guests I hope to have on, former Secret Service Dan Bongino, he had a great point on some show the other day. He's like, burglars know burglary is fucking illegal. You don't need to create more burglary laws. They're going to burgle your house knowing it's illegal. So there's no creating more laws. It's addressing the asshole who is going to commit the crime. And Pat got up a great point, and we've talked about this on our show with James Corbett the other day of Corbett Report. Dude, I mean, you want to. Everyone wants to talk about the kids mentally ill. That's cool. You want to start talking about guns? Pump the fucking brakes, dude. Let's look at the profile of all these motherfuckers who have committed these crimes. They're all on SSRIs, dude. These serotonin reuptake inhibitors is the commonality in almost all of these. And if I say again, suicidal ideation is on the freaking bottle. It says, in the inserts that you could create, ideation to kill yourself or homicide or whatever, suicidal thoughts. I mean, but we want to go after NRA. That's a huge lobby, but the pharmaceutical lobby obviously is a huge lobby as well, but we don't want to fuck with them.
I'm trying to find this thing that I love the screenshot stuff, but this basic thing that broke down, like, how many people died in every one of these high impact events. And I can tell you out of the 10 that they listed, 8 of them have deep state connections. Where either they knew about it or they told them to do it or they were they supplied them with guns. It's like, just imagine.
Well, you always hear they're always known to the authorities, known to the shooter was known by the FBI. The shooter was known to
not only known by the FBI, there are actual instances where they were encouraged by the FBI to do all this crazy stuff. Where, if you look at the guy who's going to shoot up the gay pride parade, he got pulled over, and he goes, yeah, the FBI told me to do this. They applied me a gun, told me to defend Islam. If you look at the guy the Fort Hood right now, they're suing the FBI because they told them to go do it, and they sat back and they watched it. And it's like
the first World Trade Center bomber, I forget his name, he's on tape.
Brothers were connected to the FBI as informants, were allowed to travel in and out of Chechnya, go to a train, and one of them came back without even having his passport. He lost his passport, and they let him right in.
That lets you know he's working for intelligence services. That's like Lee Harvey Oswald defecting to Russia, coming back with a Russian girlfriend. I mean, you don't do that unless you have some serious intelligence ties.
His uncle was high up in the FBI or the CIA. Those two guys.
Uncle Ruslan was married to Graham Fuller's daughter. Graham Fuller was the CIA chief, basically recruiter and trainer over in the stands in the Middle East of basically these proxy armies.
Dude. It's unbelievable, man. And you tell people this, they can't come to grips with it. I felt Vegas woke up everybody's eyes, and they just went right back to sleep.
I still don't know what the fuck's up with. I mean, I'm still getting my mind around Vegas, quite frankly.
But everybody knew that. Everyone goes,
something's up. That's true. That's true. Very true. Everyone was like that, dude. Even my mom was like, "Hey, Rachel Maddow's her girl, God bless her." But she was still like,
person,
I love you, Jackie. I love you, baby.
That dude was dead before the shooting even started.
Well, I mean, the autopsy comes out that he died 14 days later, which is...
No, the autopsy says he died a day later, at noon the day after, is what the autopsy report says.
Dude, that's the problem with us, is we have to start with what is the official narrative by most likely the people who created the instance. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, and then you reverse... you reverse engineer the whole thing, dude. That's what diligent research has to come in. You can't just listen to mainstream news because they will feed you horseshit, clearly. So, I
tell everybody that's in the conspiracies, get a program on your computer and just start ripping videos as they come out, because they're going to wipe that whole thing out. I have so many videos on my computer right now of everybody in this Florida shooting talking about different shooters, different fucking news reports talking about the same thing, and then how the cops were shooting people. And then I had the video, and I think I sent it to you, of the cops carrying giant duffel bags back to the fucking high school and throwing them back in this truck as it takes off. You're like, wow, that looks like fucking police armor that they're throwing in the back there.
I'll have to shoot that to you, Pat. I found, and that's why I asked you if that was...
I saw that video. That video, and I listened to a lot of the interviews of the kids. One of the girls was walking out of the school with the shooter, saying to him, I thought you were the one that was probably doing the shooting. And he looked at her totally surprised. And then they parted ways, and the next thing you know, she hears shooting again, but she heard shooting while she was with him.
But if you legitimately look her up in Florida, she has an acting profile on a talent agency. I looked her up the day afterwards.
We have to watch ourselves sometimes too, because
I'm not saying she's an actor, like crisis actor.
People who are like this girl, one of the women who said she was at the Vegas shooting, and she said she heard it coming from somewhere. Then they found out she was on Dr. Phil. And I'm not saying that she's an actor or not an actor, but these people, people are going to be on Dr. Phil. People are going to have IMDb's, are going to be in places where these things might happen. We have to really and dude, I'm going to be honest with you. This Florida shooting is the first time I've seen purposeful misinformation being put out so that conspiracy theorists look stupid.
Vegas was the first one for me. Vegas really? With this, from immediately we found Antifa literature. It was ISIS. It was arms deal going bad. There's so many different layers of information. But that for me, because, and I've even said it in previous shows, that was one of the first times where I was really scratching my head, like, I don't get this. The
thing is that was such an ugly situation and so poorly orchestrated. Where is the security guard? Where's he gone?
He was arrested for child porn.
And look, when this guy ends up dead on the floor, and they put out pictures right away of the hotel room of him laying there dead. Look, why aren't there any videos of him carrying stuff into the hotel? Why aren't there any videos of anything? They hide mass shooting situations for months and months and months and years before you see anything on it. But they wanted the narrative right away that this guy did it. They sent out the pictures of him with a bullet friggin' hole in his friggin' chest and his head and bleeding on the floor dead with his eyes wide open. They wanted that narrative put out there instantly. It was easy to see through. And that guy was set up. He thought he was doing an arms deal flat out, period. Yep. They whacked him and they friggin' conducted the shooting.
And what about the fact that SWAT never showed up because they were too busy in the Tropicana fucking escorting that Saudi prince out, and there's videos of it where they're escorting him out. It's like right there, something is up.
See, now I've heard that guy has been identified. He's a cat who lives in California because he's
no, he's a Saudi prince.
I've heard about. See, this is whatever. Jason Goodman just had on Jake Morpheus. I'm sorry, whatever. It's all love. I love Jason.
Right. No. I want to hear about
he just had on Jake Morpheus and this guy named John Cullen. John Cullen's theory is it was all this. The Saudi Air Force came in and hijacked helicopters, went in and sprayed down the thing in an effort to hit this prince. So Jake Morpheus apparently said he called the Saudi embassy, and the dude was somewhere else. He wasn't in Vegas at the time. My point is, this one guy, feels it's the Saudi Air Force trying to hit this prince. And on the other side, which is still interesting because that Saudi purge happened within days of this whole thing.
That guy's dead, right? The guy they think he was.
I think he is dead now.
They think that guy's dead.
I think that guy's dead. But my point is, the dude who was escorted out, and I still don't know if that was Las Vegas Metro Police or whatever, but I've heard that guy who was escorted out carrying some form of package has been identified. And he's got a Facebook. He's just a regular dude, I guess. I could be wrong, but this is from.
Yeah, you're not getting police escort through a casino like that unless you're a regular dude, man.
No, yeah, I agree.
That's my whole thing. It's like shit is hitting the fan. The guy's shooting people from the area that the Saudi prince owns. Like those are his floors, man.
Right.
It just. I'm not saying that you're not wrong, and I would love to get more information on that. And if any of your listeners does the information, please send it to me. But why is SWAT escorting out a regular guy?
I tell you what, and the way that they were pointing their weapons at completely innocent people standing on the floor of that casino, if I would have been one of those people, I would have screamed at those assholes. I would have said, "Who do you think you are, pointing your weapons at an unarmed person who's simply a customer at this casino?" That is out of fucking control.
So everybody go check that out if you haven't seen. If you're familiar with the Las Vegas shooting, go check out the video of a gentleman being escorted out of the casino by 3 or 4. They were strapped up, dude. They were, body, web gear. They were fully strapped up. So, yeah, dude, like I said, I still have, even having people on and guests on this show about it, I have still way more questions and answers about Las Vegas, bro. And unfortunately, when I see Trump saying what he said about taking guns or whatever the other day, I think unfortunately we're going to see more gun incidents in a rather short period of time. I think we are not close to the end by any stretch, but the demonization of guns, dude, that's going to be they're coming for that. False
flags are coming.
False flags and they're just going to keep getting bigger and bigger until people yell uncle.
Dude, I was just talking to a good friend the other day, then saying this.
Now, Jeff, it's March 5th now. It is 10:03 Central Standard Time on March 5th. Coming up this weekend and March 18th, there's supposed to be some false flag incidences happening in Dallas and Houston.
I heard about that.
Shooting. Another one will be some sort of crazy accident. They're hiring crisis actors, all kinds of stuff. So let's keep an eye on that. At least we have it recorded so that for posterity's sake, if this stuff actually does go down, that we can go back and we can take this section of the show and we can talk about it.
Well, and that's almost so crazy. People have done that before, done screenshots of Craigslist ads talking about, hey, we need actors to recreate X, Y, to do. I mean, people now sniff it out so hardcore. It's like now they're hopefully ahead of the game and can't use those tools. But I mean, as we've seen,
what about the fact that this kid did a PSA and he gives out the time of the shooting and he says not. The guy does a professional slating and he says 9:30 in the morning
and the shooting
doesn't have. Who is doing a fucking, besides Pat yelling at some fucking fucking SWAT guys walking out of Saudi Prince, who else is gonna fucking get lippy in the middle of a fucking school shooting doing interviews while girls are laughing, dude? Girls are laughing. He gives out the time, which is a sure sign. There's 3 signs of a false flag. Drills are that day, okay?
Gonna be using blanks
right there. And the media is right there, and the witnesses say a second shooter. I mean, and this has all of them.
Yeah.
And this kid fucks up because he's such a pro. He slates these people for this stupid PSA he's doing, and he gives out the time, and it happens fucking 5 hours before the shooting.
Yeah, he says 9 a.m. He says it's 9 a.m. and the thing doesn't happen until 2:20 or whatever. That was a
bizarre, dude. This is 1984. That's why I keep saying that. This is 1984. We are in the middle of it.
Yes, dude. Everybody's looking at us fucking crazy.
Well,
we're fucking nuts, man.
So let's talk a little bit about Q, Jeff. Let's talk about your of late thinking is the false hope that he's giving for a purpose potentially. I still believe that because of the correlation between his messages and Trump's tweets. That there's something tied together here. There's something tied together between Q and Trump and Q knowing what's really going on.
I think, like I've said before, Donald Trump taught Vince McMahon how to be Vince McMahon in WWE. I don't think Donald Trump is any white horse, brother. I think he is coming in as a baby face, but he is about to do a serious heel turn by his actions. And we're already seeing it. We're starting to see some of this stuff in Syria go down. We're starting to see, I see there's skirmishes with actual Russian troops and U.S. troops in Syria. We whacked 300 Russian troops in Syria, correct? I don't know the exact number, but I know, he's just taking a less overt path as far as regime change as it relates to Syria, and Iran is up next. He's just going to do it a little slicker than Hillary or Obama would have done it. And we'll see. Like, he's surrounded by Goldman Sachs, just like our boy Joseph Ferrell said on Today. I don't know. Like I said, I think, his body language, he walks around with his arms folded up when he's having rather serious discussions. When he said, Dianne Feinstein, yeah, go ahead and throw your bill in there, the 2017 assault weapons ban. Go ahead and throw that in there, as if that was just fucking. No, he was talking about her 2017 ban to put into the 2018.
All right, so
and she was fucking. She damn near needed a wardrobe change after he said that.
Do you remember Q was posting pictures of airport tarmacs and airport gates and things like that? And why is a Russian being held in Thailand quite a while back?
Yeah,
vaguely.
All those messages that were coming out. I've got them all on my phone. Okay, now this comes out. Let me look at this. This is today, 9:44 p.m. Eastern time, so 8:44 my time. This is an hour ago this broke. Okay, so don't tell me Q doesn't know what he's talking about or putting out the truth, because Bangkok, Thailand, this is CNN, from behind bars in a sweltering immigration detention center in Bangkok, a self-styled sex coach who claims to have detailed insider knowledge of Russian meddling in the U.S. election says she wants to cooperate with U.S. investigators. Basically, she's begging for U.S. asylum to cooperate with the investigators. I'm telling you, dude, Q is real.
There's something going on with Q. The whole theory, you ever heard that Q might be artificial intelligence?
Yeah.
I've heard that too. Jeffrey, I understand what you're saying.
I don't think so. I think he's military intel, to be honest with you.
He would have to be.
I'm not against it, dude. I mean, that
Or
guy
she.
who does numerology completely believes in Q, and he's backing up what you said about Mueller, and I mean, like, I'm holding on to hope, man. I'm hoping that Trump isn't the conspiracy theories version of what Obama was to the left, which is a bill of goods and just constantly dragging along until it's too late. It is time to drop hammer, though. I mean, if it is coming, the time is now.
Well, and the reason we had on Joseph. The reason we had on Joseph Ferrell today is because I've been really kind of frustrated in the nuances of all these arguments. Even though I don't chime in on the divide and conquer so much,
Ferrell.
I see
Ferrell.
I'm sorry, Dr. Joseph Ferrell. But I mean, at the end of the day, these engineers have been doing this in a very sophisticated way for decades. There is no shape or form. There's no world where a Donald Trump just comes in and throws off what they've been working at for eons, for a very, very long time. He might be a different version of what they're doing, but I mean, I think he's a globalist of a different color or ilk.
Think about it, though. Think about it. They ran either way. Do they, in past elections, they've gotten somebody in. Whoever gets in is working for them anyway. Trump, I just don't know, man. They tried so hard to derail him that he ended up winning. I mean,
but that's the beauty of it. That's the shit we got caught up in, did they? Yes, it looked like they were trying to derail him, and he hates Hillary. Fucking, it looked like Andre the Giant hated Hulk Hogan in fucking WrestleMania 3. That's the whole point. It makes it look like.
What about the Iron Sheik and Hacksaw Jim Duggan getting shit faced in a truck, dude? That's when I knew shit wasn't real.
Did you get the interview I sent you, Sam? I interviewed Hacksaw, dude, and I sent that interview to. We talk about that shit. I actually, in all honesty, I enjoyed a little bit of Sweet Leaf with Hacksaw about a year ago. Honestly,
there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
We talked WrestleMania the whole nine, dude. He's a fucking lovely human being. We'll
see what happens, dude. I mean, like, when everybody's on one side, it makes me think something crazy is going on. He's deregulating I mean, I tell you, man, his presidency is so similar to Clinton's. It's unbelievable. He comes out of nowhere. No one expects him to win. He beats an established candidate with the help of a third party. And as he's in office, everything is investigation. Why he deregulates everything. And the investigations keep everybody focused from him deregulating everything. Now, I will say this. I'm personally, I hate free trade. I think free trade has been horrible to this country. I say tariff everything. And, some people get mad at me. Tariffing, they hate the word tariff because it sounds like terrorists and taxes had a baby. But I say you tariff the fuck out of everything, dude. Bring everything back. Anybody who tells you shit will be too expensive is bullshit. There are 10 cars that are made in the United States right now. You can't fucking name them because they're not that much more expensive. Oh, but iPhones are going to be $600. Guess what? Technically, an iPhone is $600, but they give you that fucking sweet deal. If you sign up for 3 fucking years, it wouldn't cost $1 more. The only thing that would happen is Apple's profit margin at first would be a little less, and then they would skyrocket when everybody has money to buy shit. So
right, and here's the thing. Yeah, here's the thing. Tariffs combined with lower corporate taxes to bring business and the industry back to America. Look, this country can't survive much longer we have to be producers and not consumers. Otherwise, the nation is dead. It's dead. People don't understand that.
Can't buy shit
a lot of stuff come in and give lower taxes so corporations come back to America and start manufacturing plants. Look, I'm just getting ready to launch a M Combat clothing line this spring or summer. We want it manufactured in the United States. We had a great meeting with Merrill Manufacturing out on the East Coast. This is the place that we want to do it. They make quality stuff. They make U.S. military stuff, all kinds of stuff. And we want it. And we had a flat out talk with this guy. And his politics are different than mine. He does lean far left. He leans very far left on a lot of subjects. But one thing we agree on is American jobs. And he said, look, for this many thousand clothing items that you have made in my facility, that's 10 more jobs for American citizens. That's all I know. And that's what we have in common. And we want to create American jobs and put food on the table for Americans. And I want to do my part. And that's what everybody should be doing.
I can't agree more, dude. There's a lot of brainwashing going on by these people who were young during the Clinton years about, oh man, they can't compete. They can, dude. It's this ridiculous greed grab that's going on that, eventually, I mean, look at the Atlanta Falcons, okay? The Atlanta Falcons decide this season they're going to sell all their condiments, all their hot dogs and sodas for much cheaper. And at the end of the season, they found out they made way more money. Because when people can buy shit, they'll buy it. You got to have money if you don't have a job. If Amazon is this quadrillion-dollar industry and nobody's making money there, nobody can buy stuff. Right. It's capitalism. It starts eating itself. It's like the snake that eats its own tail.
Free market. If it's a true free market, competition brings down prices. And when there's more jobs than there are people to take jobs, that's when it's an employee's market, and people are going to pay more money out to people for good people to work for them. That's how you eliminate a federal enforced and demanded minimum wage, right? We don't need a minimum wage to be enforced. We need a free market.
It's unbelievable to me about how the left is for you see all these MSNBC people tweeting. And by the way, I told you this before last time I was on that. Twitter is a bunch of astroturfing. They create fake profiles, put a pretty face on it with a name, a check by the name, and within 2 days it has like 300,000 followers. Right. That's just straight bullshit. And they just pump out deep state BS, and everybody gets excited about it because it's got a check by its name, which means it's real, and it's not, dude. And it's just straight up astroturfing. And Joy, whatever her name is, the chick on MSNBC.
Behar.
She can't stop loving fucking free trade. And you're like, chick, woman, this does not affect you because you get a paycheck regardless. But the people you're trying to brainwash into it, it affects their lives for real, man. Because all the jobs are going to be gone.
Here's the crazy thing, man. My family is from Croatia originally, right? So I was the Croatian sensation when I fought. I still, to this day, have never been to Croatia, but I'm told that I'm a national hero in Croatia. So they've been trying to get me to go there, and I said, here's what I'll do. I want to do a speaking tour, and I want to speak about human rights, liberty, and freedom, because the old communists are coming back and slowly gaining power in Croatia and taking back over. The globalists have got their friggin' claws into Croatia. Croatia sucked into the European Union, which is the saddest day in my life. And I want to go over there and I want to make a tour across Croatia and give these speeches and educate these Croatians and go off and totally go off on the government and get the people to rise up, because this seed needs to be planted everywhere, including especially Europe right now, because I tell you what, Europe is in deep, deep trouble.
Well, I mean, Brexit was a serious harbinger of things to come. I mean, they've had other states that they've coerced into staying, like Greece and other states that are countries that just could not survive without the EU right now, which is
dead. I think the people are getting fed up around Europe with the invasion of all the immigrants. It's out of control. They have turned nations completely upside down. The indigenous people will lose their shit pretty soon.
George, you think?
It's like, I also want to say this about I'm sure Europe is just like America in that they're getting, completely destroyed by cheap labor, businesses moving out, cheap labor, therefore everything is going. And to be honest with you, man, I think most of these refugees would rather stay home, but we're bombing the fuck out of them, dude.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
We're bombing the fuck out of Syria, the Middle East. We ran out of bombs, dude. Think about that. we ran out of bomb. We had no more bombs to throw. And like, what are these people supposed to do? Like, I can't hate them, man. Even Mexico, dude. I guarantee you Mexicans would rather stay in Mexico, dude. But through our drug wars and our free trade, we've decimated their country. They can't make money. The fucking drug lords are fucking running everything. And it's just like everybody just wants to chill, make $1, get their dick wet, have a laugh.
Well, that can only last for so long. Because like you said, like all that you just described is pretty much by design. The refugee crisis, yeah, you're exactly right. The wars are pretty much based off of horse shit. And the refugees...
When our State Department and the last administration, funds ISIS and al-Nusra and creates a 50,000-man radical army dressed in black with the new design black flag of ISIS.
But this shit happened well before even Obama and the left. This is a policy.
This is a long game, dude.
Yeah, this is transcend any one administration. I mean, and that's
they're all in on it, dude. They're all in on it, dude.
Sure, absolutely. But one politician, I forget who the hell it was now, was just bringing legislation up about stopping all funding in terms of assisting in the Saudi Arabians' war in Yemen, which I was very happy to hear about. All funding, no more refueling their fighter jets, no more refueling their bombers, no more tactical, no more boots on the ground. Serving as spotters or anything like that. They want us the hell out of there, and that's the kind of legislation we need.
Well, I mean, and the fact that we even still, I mean, another perfect example that I don't think Trump is what he says he is. The fact that we still even fuck with Saudi Arabia, knowing how they get down, and still having the nerve to talk about other countries' human rights.
I told you my theory on that, Jeff. I told you my theory on that when Trump went over and met with them, and then gave that speech to all the Arab nations leaders and said, "Look, man, terrorism is done. This is it." And when suddenly my intel guy, who is very, very, he's deep, he's very, very deep, says, when I ask him flat out, did Trump stop the programs of funding ISIS and al-Nusra the minute he got in? He said, yes, I will confirm that 100%. There are other things that I will not confirm, I can't talk about, I can't tell you, but yes, Trump absolutely stopped those programs. So that gives me hope. Now, as far as what's still going on in Yemen, I'm not digging it, but because Trump maybe, still supporting that because it's the Iranians versus the Saudis for control over there in Yemen, and both the Saudis and Iranians, which one do you pick?
Shiites and Sunnis, dude.
Right.
Shiites and Sunnis.
Nonstop throughout history, right?
Well, and it's going to culminate, or if hopefully whatever with Iran. We've already seen those seeds planted with the unrest not too long ago. I mean, I don't know. I think the globalist agenda moves on. It just looks a little different.
Israel, dude. I mean, you look at what Greater Israel is. That's a big chunk of Saudi Arabia. What's going to happen there? It's just a banker cabal. It is, dude. It's the Saudi family owning Citibank, and we can go through all these people that own these giant banks. And
and when you talk about Israel, their foreign intelligence agency has so many different people on, not only unregistered foreign agents working for the U.S., but they've got in the U.S. as legislators, as senators, congressmen, but they've got so many of them compromised. They have them, such a small country, through their mechanisms, have so many powerful people by the balls through blackmailable material.
This year for the size. Listen, Israel is the size of Orange County down to San Diego. Think about that. That's like 150 miles, man. And it just causes chaos. And listen, dude, I believe that Palestinians and Israelis can live together. I know it's going to be hard at first, but I do believe it's fucking possible. I mean, I look at, there's little Armenia and little Thai town. They live side by side with each other. I do believe that everybody can find love. I think at the highest level, even in Israel, the propaganda is probably militarize those people like a motherfucker.
Of course.
Make them think everybody hates them and all that shit. And at the end of the day, if this was any other country, man, the world would be going nuts right now with fucking the humanitarian crisis that's going on over there.
Exactly.
And it makes me sad, but I mean.
But like, and I go back to the visit that Trump had over there to Saudi Arabia, dude. I guarantee. The reason we're still doing business with them was Trump Trump had a meeting with them and said, look, your oil fields are no longer going to be protected by us, and you're no longer going to get any weapon systems from us unless you get rid of these scumbags, one of them of which owns the big chunk of Twitter and Fox News. You get rid of these scumbags that were donating to Hillary Clinton and all these other people that are deep state scum. You do this, or here's the situation that's going to be for you. Iran's going to have a free run on your oil fields because you're not going to have shit from us and no support. And that's the way it's going to go down. And I truly believe that, because it wasn't long after that visit when he gave that hardcore speech to the Arab leaders that suddenly all these people were getting scooped up, arrested, and all their, these people had a combined value of net worth or whatever of close to $1 trillion. And they all got confiscated. All of it got confiscated, and they got arrested. And I'm telling you, the interrogations that went on probably in Saudi Arabia of these people, not like an interrogation here.
What about the fact that the head of the Rothschilds, they believe that helicopter crash, and now they're about to name a new head of that family? Like, did he die in that crash?
Jacob
Rothschild. I think that's the total truth. I think it's absolutely the truth that Mr. Rothschild went down in that chopper near the estate, buddy.
Jacob Rothschild, I think his name was.
Yep.
I mean, we live in interesting time. I love it. I love talking about all this stuff. I find it so much. I don't know why people don't love talking about
before we let you dip out, and that's and let me just tell you, brother, because I know, Pat, you brought up a very good point, man. You work for a huge network. You're putting a lot on the line talking about this stuff. We're all kind of putting our asses on the line if we ever get huge enough and get enough ears. But livelihood wise, Pat, I love you, and I appreciate what you do, asking me to do this with you, and it's been an absolute ball, brother. And it's like I know you do risk stuff, and Sam, the same thing with your career. But I think it is so incumbent on all of us, man. Whatever heat, man, we get, whatever they say, that you always get the most. You always get the most heat when you're above the target, right? I think so many of us we're spot on with a lot of the shit. That's why we get so much visceral.
I get a lot of messages, and I know you do too, and Sam does too. I get a lot of messages, man, from people on Twitter and Facebook saying, "Keep doing what you're doing because you're giving us courage to speak out."
We have truth on our side, and even though they're trying to make it that only liars get the fucking work, in terms of politics and these people in fucking Oscars. And not all of them are liars. Some of them are hard workers, but at the highest levels, this encouraging of this false personas, these water walkers that don't exist, and how we just lay it on the line and we do truth. We have truth on our side, and in the long run, that's what rises. Truth always rises. When you have truth and people find out that you're like my career's, I've had up and downs, man. But the only reason I work to this day is because people know I won't fuck them out of a penny. I wouldn't fuck them out of $1. Like if I make $1, I'll give you 50 cents. I'd rather do that than jump over dollars to make dimes. And people know that about me. In a pool of sharks, I'm known as a fucking real class act, and I've worked very hard on that. Because I want people to know, hey, man, if you work with Sam Triploi, you're going to get taken care of, and he's not going to fuck you out of $1. And if he makes money, you make money, and that's why what we're doing is so important, because each one of you guys, you're on the side of truth. And that's what people are coming to you for, because they know you don't have an alternative motive, that you're not taking a check from somebody to say some crazy shit.
Right.
Very
Absolutely.
True. And that's the thing that people with cognitive dissonance don't understand, is that if anything, I have a lot to lose by speaking the truth. I have a lot to lose, but I'm going to say it anyway because I have to. I feel obligated to tell the truth on what's truly going on, and people are waking up. Thankfully, people are waking up. We aren't going to get through to everybody. We're just not. I mean, if the Mueller investigation culminates and finally they put out indictments on tons of establishment politicians and everything that very well we know should happen. If that does happen and it smacks all these people in the face, they still will think it's a political hit job.
Yeah. 100%, dude. And listen, man, at the end of the day, it's like my podcast is starting to slowly blow up, and I'm very blessed, but I've been struggling getting sponsors, and because they're afraid of what I talk about. But I'd rather find some guy who does purification water that gets me
exactly
$5 than like change my act and make $500 from fucking, Blue Apron. And nothing gets Blue Apron, but whoever it might be.
Bro, you are absolutely right, man. You are absolutely correct. And that's going to be the deal breaker, and the difference in between, the charlatans who will sell the snake oil for whatever, and the folks who are like, almost like Sibel Edmonds, like, we are not for foundation funded. We don't take any money from agencies. We are, like we say, we are listener grassroots funded. And, we're over in 100 countries, but, not a lot of people can give a lot, but, as far as full on sponsorship, I almost say keep it, man, because you're probably going to change what we talk about. I would rather have it be grassroots, man.
Yeah.
Don't let them change your message. That's the beauty of podcasting, is like, you want my crowd. You want my crowd to buy. And if I'm talking about shape-shifting lizard people, but I got, let's say 100,000 people listening to the Shape-Shifting Lizard People podcast, what do you care? They buy shit.
They don't.
They're on the
they don't.
For shape-shifting lizard people.
And we before we end this too, Sam, we need to talk about the Vegas the conspiracy convention. We really need to get this going. We need to get this organized and blow this thing out, man, and have all kinds of tents, all kinds of booths with survival gear, with solar panels, with water purification, with weapon systems, with ammo, with you name it, man. We need it.
I want to go. I want to get it going. I want to do a 2-day in Vegas downtown and just kind of test the waters on the first one. I'm totally down, man. It takes like whenever we can powwow and get it going. Like, that's really all just the powwow of it. Because everybody I talk to is like, oh, hell yeah. The Grimerica guys, Gray Carlwood from the Higher Side Chats.
Get Jimmy Dory in the mix. Get you
Jimmy
and
Dore.
And we need to, do we call it the con or the
whatever we decide to call it? Yeah.
Real news convention.
Whatever you guys want to call it, I'm in. Everybody's down. It just takes us powwowing. We're all super busy, but I think we put a little time in, and we just try to knock out something to establish it in the first year. Just see what kind of following we get. I'm in, dude. I'm in.
I tell you what. Why don't we look into hiring a promoter that could put it together, and we'll do a split with him. Huh?
I'm in, dude. I'm in. Why don't we have a time where maybe where we don't pod and we just the three of us talk and we think about someone who might want to do this with us, and that we can be hands on, but they do a lot of the grunt work, so that we can make sure it's legit and all that if we're gonna put our names on it.
Absolutely, I think definitely could have legs.
You guys gotta get out to Kelly, man. When you guys are on Kelly, let's do some let's do some podcasting.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna be in California. Hold on. I'm going to be, and that's when I'm supposed to be on Rogan's podcast, potentially. I'll be in, Cabazon, California. There's a...
Calabasas?
There's a casino out there. It's near Temecula.
Okay, that's not that far from L.A.
23rd of March. My show is the 23rd of March.
When is your show, Sam, at the Viper Room?
The 25th.
Oh, shit, 2 days later.
Yeah, dude, should be interesting. So let's figure something out, Pat. Off air, I'll get your email or something like that, and we'll see if we can make something happen. If not, we'll set up in the future. I know Greg Carlwood's down towards San Diego. There's a whole bunch of people.
I just want to come to the fights.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm not against it at all, dude. I'm not against it at all. Let me see where I'm just setting up my special, but I'm down with going to the fights. I'll get your info, whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah, get it from Jeff. Get it all from Jeff. Thank you.
And we'll go from there. Guys, I love doing the podcast.
Shout out where can we find you, dude? The podcast and any social networking, brother.
Tinfoil Hat podcast. Tinfoil Hat with Sam Triploi, myself, and Ryan Davis host the show. It's Tinfoil Hat Cast or Tinfoil Hat Pod on all social media. And at Sam Triploi, SAMTRIPOLI. And just a lot of great stuff going on, and working on some conspiracy theory entertainment for the masses. The whole key is get them laughing and slip them the truth. And
a little bit of sugar makes the medicine go down, buddy. That's exactly how you do it.
I love you guys, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, Sam Triploi, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. There will be more.
Stay woke, homeboy.
Ronin for life, son. Peace.